Hey everybody, it's Matt Powers. Welcome to week 2 live. We're gonna have people slowly, probably coming in. I'll let people come in for a second. I'm gonna pull up the questions. Talking about our regenerative world this week and trees. So again, I've gotten all your questions, I've gotten all your survey answers, and I actually have quite a bit of feedback. And it's so divergent. I've got people who are like, I want to go faster. And I have people who are like, whoa, slow down. And people who are like, I was really busy this week. I didn't get to everything. And that's why it's lifetime access. And other people who are like, I want to go ahead. Well, we're rolling it out this first time, but it's going to be easy access from then on. It's not going to be like released every week. You'll have full access to everything, like a reference in an encyclopedia that you can go through and watch videos and pull up those formulas, pull up those how-tos, pull up those active systems that you want to look at again now that you learned that extra bit. You want to go back and relook at that. You're going to be able to do all of that. And, that's the whole point of having it set up the way it is. And judging by some of your questions this week, they're kind of all over the map. They're not just trees. They're not just about a regenerative world. Of course, everything is in our regenerative world, right? But we were talking about broad landscape, broad climates, broad landscape and climate effects. We were talking about the behavior of moisture and heat, cooling and dry in all these different varieties of contexts, so that you could start seeing it in your world around you. And if you don't have any contact with that, if you haven't spent a lifetime in nature encountering these things, it might be really hard at first. It'd be like, oh my gosh, this was really hard to take in because I don't have any prior learning to attach to. You remember we talked about those patterns? They might be brand new for you. And that's why the assignment week 1 was to go out in nature and explore and experience these sort of things. So we developed that lens so that we connect what I was saying to the new learning from nature. So I was going to become the prior learning in this situation, right? But we have to connect it. We have to create this realness for ourselves in order for it to stick. So until you really have adapted plants, created new breeds, it's still going to be theory, right? I've done that, until you've grown without any irrigation, it's going to be theory. And, I've done that. All these types of things we're going to do together. You're going to see how they're done. You're going to be able to gain that competency and then move forward. But it's got to come in these stages. We got to go macro to micro, because if you miss something in your climate, just like we talk about, right? The social climate and the physical climate, the landscape, if you just ignore the landscape, we're just going to keep perpetuating the same problems that we've already inherited. And one of the questions, it was one of the best questions, was exactly about this, because as I allude to in week 3, there's a lot missing from the picture that we have no idea what it did. And it's like, they're like, oh, this organ, we don't know what it does. It's probably worthless. Let's just remove it, the appendix and other things. It's like tonsils, and so just because we don't know doesn't mean that it serves a purpose. Just because we've got this history doesn't mean that we're missing native plants from that picture that were already lost, that were super sensitive, that were lost really early on. Maybe when pigs were introduced, they were lost. And that was, when we lost all that Mississippi Delta culture. We lost that culture due to pigs bringing diseases that were brought when they were dropped in Florida. They traveled inland, and way before any explorers or settlers or anything, went further. And that's why when they did, they found empty towns and everything, because those pigs destroyed the ecology. And maybe the way it happened was they destroyed a fundamental plant that was part of their local economy. We don't know. And so there's a lot of unknowns. And I hope that I communicated that in such a way that you understand that we've done the research. We've got the numbers. Those numbers, they're different all over the world, and then we've created these averages. And so I just want you to understand that everywhere is different and unique, and we have these averages, but they're not as useful because they're not perfect to your region. They're not perfect to anyone's region because they're averages, and that's okay. We just have to take these things, and a lot of these lenses we're going to go through multiple times, not just again when we're writing our design, you know what I mean? We're going to go through multiple times. This is all introductory stuff. Let it roll in, let it like try to attach these things to prior learning, try to attach them to real things that you go and visit or go and do. But understand that we're going to do the how-to. We're going to do the design examples, and I'm going to show you this site here. I'm going to show you the dry California site that I took years to develop, made all the mistakes on. But I'm going to show you here how to go boom, 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 move real quick. And then I'm going to talk about, you know, the super dry, the super humid. We're going to be talking about, you know, well-draining soils, clay. You were talking about the urban environment. We're talking about the big, broad landscapes. Because in a lot of ways, people who want to do true keyline design, they really need the land. Because the key point's over on their neighbor's property. You know, because you need full control over that landscape to really affect the hydrology in a really powerful way. And that makes sense, right? You need to have more control over that landscape. And that's why it's so difficult, you know, when you look at how to fix California, right? How to fix California's hydrology. It's like, yeah, well, they applied the pressure points in the opposite way. You know, they're like, instead of the key point dams, they're like, key point stresses. We'll drain you here, you know. So, but we'll be covering it all. And so you'll see it all. We'll start going through the how-tos as we go through this. It's not just theory, and it's not just, you know, the averages, and it's not just the foundational stuff. I think we have to go through this stuff though to make sure that our understanding is complete. And that's why some people in the course are like, whoa. And some people in the course are like, I took my PDC. I remember the stuff. That's cool that you added that. I had never thought about that. That was really interesting. And a lot of people are saying they've taken PDCs and they're finally understanding it, which is like music to any teacher's ears. You know, I love hearing that, you know, they finally got something. It's like cracking the code. It's like, you know, finally unlocking that seed dormancy and growing that and having that fruit, right? So I love hearing that. That makes me really excited that's helping so many people. But yeah, there's like a few people that want to go faster. And I totally understand that. Feel free to read further in the book. There's plenty of challenge there. If you want to read further in the book, you'll have better questions. I mean, that's what I did when I had already read Sepp Holzer's books, Masanobu Fukuoka. I had already watched all the videos online I could of Jeff Lawton. I had already, you know, drained Permies.com of information. I had already read Bill Mollison's Permaculture, a Designer's Manual thoroughly. And so I went into my PDC like with like a long list of questions, and I was just like, well, let's start off at one. And so I got to get the expert feedback, just like you guys are now, you know, able to, you know, drain me of information. Because that's what these questions are. You guys are going to see today's questions, like, bum, 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 bum. They're all over the map. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to just jump all over our regenerative world and answer all these questions. Because that's the thing, is if I don't answer these questions, I'm like, hold that question until 5 weeks from now. You guys aren't going to care about that question. You're going to forget about that question. You're going to be upset about that question. You're going to be like, well, now it's too late. It's good. I'm here to answer those questions in a timely manner, because as an educator, I know the longer you wait between feedback, the question and the feedback, the less the student can care. They've had to distance themselves from that. You know, it's just natural. So we're going to be diving into all those awesome questions. But I just want you to know that's why we're going through it stage by stage. It's both a PDC and an advanced permaculture design course. So what you're going to see is as we go, each lens is going to have these extra edges and understandings and pieces attached to it. And then we're going to start bringing in the how-tos and the working example. Like, I mean, next week, you guys are going to have Brooke Sarson talk about gray water. She has, catching H2O and H2 home, and then we have Brock Dolman, Brick and Brock next week. And so we have guest teachers starting. And the thing is, the guest teachers are so advanced that I have them later in the course so that you understand. So I'm aligning so that you guys are going to be able to scaffold up properly to these other areas, because the book is the middle of this course. And I know some people were like, wait, I thought the book was everything. The book's the middle, because after the book comes those next teachers, and they're professional, and they're taking things to new levels. It's so exciting. So it's going to be amazing. I'm really pumped about getting there. It's like we've got to get through the basic understanding stuff, and that's why, listen to the audiobook, get through it, let it just layer in, and with your understanding, go visit nature while you're listening to it, think about it, but know that we're going to start building and doing and rocking this at another level. And that's where the advanced permaculture design thing comes in. We have those teachers, those professionals, and then we have the layer after that where you're applying. And then you have, the professional certifications. And that's it. There are some of them don't have professional certifications, and this course is it. You know what I mean? We're here, right? But some of them, like the soil science with Elaine Ingham, like you saw, is several $1,000s. But for you guys, it's half price, because you got the regenerative career guide, which has 50% discount and back, which is unlimited. You can apply it to all our courses. So it's huge. No one has that discount but you guys and everyone, I say guys, but I mean everyone when I say that. I got to erase that from my vocabulary and say everyone. Y'all. I love y'all. So that's the new replacement. It's here, right here. Anyway, so y'all, let's get into these questions because they're really fun. If you guys have any questions, let me quickly see if I can jump on the group chat here and see questions. They're really fun. I'm going to pause this. I can see your chat. Hey, I can see you. I can see your chat this week, you guys. So, oh dear. Guys, no political arguments in the comment questions. Yeah. Politicians are never going to understand anything at the level that you're going to understand if you pay attention in this course. So focus on the course, focus on the information, and you guys will be able to educate everyone, no matter who they are, and you'll be able to convince them, no matter if they're whatever they're focused on. Because the reality is, this is the way to improve our economy. This is the way to improve our society. This is the way to improve our ecology all at once. So it's a win. It's that triple bottom line. So, yeah. So there's, and yeah, I'll try to hop in there. I wonder, yeah, I'll check this out later in the comments thing, guys. But ask questions. Use this comment section to ask questions. And I'll check back over there as I check back over here with the other questions. So thank you everyone for joining us. We've got a good group here today that's live. I've got a lot of your questions. And you guys can keep submitting questions in the form. It'll continuously pop up here. I see that someone just someone just talked about biochar. So I'll be able to handle all your questions from all these different areas. I know that some people said that they had trouble this week understanding. Well, one person said that they had trouble understanding this week, absorbing the information as much, but they said they had a really stressful week. And as I learned myself, stress really limits our ability to hold that information and also to access information in our mind. And I routinely have practices that help me ground and center myself. We're going to talk about them a lot in Regenerative Organic. Regenerative Entrepreneurs and Educators course, which comes after this course in November 2018. But if you want, I'll give you access to it right now. So if you want some daily practices that are going to change your life, and you just want access to the videos, it's all open. You guys can just go through it. I can give you that access now. So message me about that if you would like that information, and I'll just be able to pop you right in over there, and you'll be able to start going through those. And you can go through it all. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's no, that course is laid out a completely different way. And when it goes live, it'll be much more like this course, but you can start going through those videos if you want. Just let me know. So yeah, and that will really help you encode information better. It'll help you study at another level. It will help you access those peak performance attributes that we've been discussing somewhat in the pattern literacy section. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, I'm gonna pop over again to see what's going on. Okay, sweet. Yeah, it's great. You guys are doing great. Coffee grounds. We're talking about coffee grounds, compost, manure. Okay, all right, great. So questions are coming in. Keep the questions coming in if you have any. I'm going to start going through these. It's going to stir some questions up, I'm sure, because you're going to start thinking about things. But by the end of it, I'm going to have answers to multiple questions built into an aggregate solution. So, because we got to give spectrums, right? So I'm going to give you the spectrum right now. Ready? Here we go. So, number one, how can I be an educator of the regenerative lifestyle, and how am I going to share the solutions? That course we were talking about that comes after this, that's going to give you all the information that you need. You're going to message me. If you feel like you have time to take that course and this course at the same time, I mean, that course is designed in prompts. It's different from this course. It's not this like information exchange as much as it's gives you, well, it is a huge information exchange. But they're prompts. It's designed, it's short and direct. It's like boom, 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 boom. And you're like, wait, what? I guess, yes, I'll do that. How? And so it gets you really thinking, and then we dive into how to do it, and we start building our lesson plans, and we start building our businesses, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really, really active interaction course. And yeah. So that's super fun. You got to check that one out. So if you want to dive into education stuff, if I kind of spark that and you got time, then you could dive into that. Just message me. All right, number two. Okay, I don't have any questions, but tons of exciting ideas. But actually, can I grow birch trees and aspen trees on the same piece of landscape? That depends, sir. If you are in, or madam, I don't know. I like saying sir, but madam, I don't know. It doesn't get. I didn't collect the email anyway. I don't have the information I need to tell you if you can, because it depends on the zone you're in. So if you are 1 through 6 zones, you're going to be able to do the aspen tree, and then the cold hardiness 3 through 6. That's going to give you the birch. And so you're going to have that overlap in zones 3 through 6. But otherwise than that, they're going to do just fine. There's a lot of stuff online about this. They're really common trees. Everyone loves them. So you just grow up, you just look up how to grow birch and aspen trees in the same thing, and try using Ecosia. They're the search engine that plants trees. So you're looking up trees, they're planting trees while you're doing it. One of the students recommended that. So I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. I'm going to collect names, I think, in the next thing, so I can know who I'm talking to. And so I can follow up and send you guys individual links. Because I have these pulled out to give to you. Every week I learn. Every week we should learn. All right, could you approach and evaluate a site given these factors? So maybe the first two questions that fly through your head when assessing a new spot. Yeah, all right. So when I look at a site, I immediately think about the sun path. I look immediately where's north, where's south, and then I'm looking to see east to west, because then you go, oh, okay, the sun's going to go like this in summer, like that in winter. Like, okay. Oh, is this really shaded in winter? You know, and then I look above me. I always look above me, and I'm saying to myself, well, what are they doing to the water above me? How clean is that water going to be? What am I going to have to do to that water? How much water is coming in? So I'm going to look at the sun. I'm going to look at the water, and then I'm going to look at the soil. And so I'm literally going to go get my hands in the soil and dig some of it up, and I'm going to just look at the Okay, we're back. How much did you lose? Where did I leave off? Where did it stop? Where did I stop the feed? I'm back. Okay. So I had a sip, and then what was I? Did I talk about niche yet? Okay, sweet, sweet. So the next thing was niche. So I'm going to stay over here while I answer questions on this screen, so I'm aware. But I just wasn't like looking at myself in the mirror. I was looking at your questions. But I got to stay on this so that I know that it's actually live. So finding your niche. How do I find my niche? That was the question. So in order to find your niche, you really have to find what you're passionate about, what you're enthusiastic about, what engages you. What is your identity? How do you want to be? What do you want to like rock? So, and once you figure that out, it just empowers you. It just invigorates you, and you just follow that, and it's easy. So in order to find that, that's what this course is all about. You're going to be introduced to the spectrum of all these different career paths, all these different like ways of interacting with nature. So you're going to have that ability to make those decisions and choices because you'll have the information. If you don't know, that means you need to study more, and that's okay. This course, you know, you're not required. Someone later on will ask a question later on down. I'll answer it now. It's like, do we need to know what our project is going to be? I mean, guys, it's 20 weeks away. You know, relax. You're going to have 4 weeks to go through and plan and discuss. It's all going to take time. We're going to take our time so we do it right. So don't feel stressed that you need to know what your project is. This is, we're freshman year, right? We haven't even chosen our major yet. You know what I mean? We're just beginning. We're laying down like the foundational rules and laws of the climate that we're going to be in, and the way that trees interact, the way that water works, all these just basic stuff. So it's PDC plus. There's mostly PDC level information, but there's extra stuff that I've added in here and there as I've studied and expanded upon these things. But right now we're just laying down that foundation, and the more advanced, the more depth is about to hit us. So keep that in mind. Don't feel overwhelmed. Know that you can study more. Know that some weeks are going to be lighter than others. Some weeks are going to be heavier than others. And you don't need to feel pressured. There's no timer on your certification. You can start whenever it's right for you. Like, we're going to end in the fall. If you're like, well, I plan on doing my thing in the spring. Just timing. Don't worry about it. That's perfect. You're going to be able to plan and discuss the ideas and have it all set up in that time frame and have it all ready for launch, have all the pieces, and make it a perfect success. If that's what your plan is, you know what I mean? It really depends on what your plan is. So that being said, let's move on to the next question. Boom. All right. Could an Archimedes screw made out of recycled plastics? Absolutely could. Would that be ideal is the question. Is it going to leach plastic? Is it going to heat up? What are you using it for? Where's the water going? That sort of thing. I would say that an Archimedes water drill is superb technology, and it's something that could be run easily off of wind power, because it could just be, and the water could just be taken up and aerated passively. So you could set this up to aerate your pond, and it would look really cool. You could sit there and watch that, maybe paint it, like different colors, and so it makes this cool pattern. I don't know. Whatever you like. Someone later on says, how can I use patterns? I love patterns. I want to use patterns everywhere. What's the biggest pattern you use in a landscape? I would say that our understanding of contour, I would say streamlines, following a contour, following a line, a connection between two different mediums is the most common. In design, for sure. I mean, in growing, I think it would be the dendritic pattern, wouldn't you say? The tree, the root, those kind of things. So wonderful questions this week. Are there any existing versions of compost windrow turners that can be done by one person? And they're like, not a barrel system, no barrel system here, right? Okay. We're talking about small, personalized, small scale compost turner, mini windrow turner for sale. This is happening. This is online, compost-turner.net. There are small turners. In general, they're going to go big because they want to do volume and they want to do huge operations, and everyone's thinking municipal size now. Everyone's thinking going big, and it's working really well. So, I mean, you can monitor it, you can temperature, you can move it really well. And that's why, San Francisco, Portland, all these cities are now looking at composting all the organic matter because it works so well. And we're going to be getting into compost so deeply. So don't feel like we got to know everything right now. And I'll answer questions as they come. I'll answer your questions, but know that as we do the progression, the layer upon layer, we're going to build towards that understanding in a much more complete way. All right. Now, I have alarms that constantly go off. All right. This question might be a little specific, but do you have any resources that highlight specific mycorrhizal tree relationships? This is really cool. So I talk about it in a general way, and the reason is, all right, if you go to fungi.com/plant-list.html, so fungi.com/plant-list.html, that will give you why I generalized. So you're like, Matt, why is it like almost everything? Well, everything is basically endomycorrhizal. And then there is a small group of ecto, and an even smaller group that takes both endo and ecto. And so everyone's like throwing endo and ectomycorrhizal, right? And then you have groups that hate both. And it's a bigger group than likes both. So just, if you go to that page, fungi.com, the biggest group is endomycorrhizae. And I mean, you got families on there. You've got, you can infer families of things on there. I mean, corn, cowpea, kiwi, leek, tea, plum, potato, cacao, cactus, alder, apple. So endomycorrhizae, right? Ecto, you've got aspen, birch, chestnut, filbert, Douglas fir, eucalyptus, linden, oak, pine, poplar. Do you see the difference already? There's a huge divide in this. And so basically, if you group your plantings according to this, you could easily just do ecto and then endo, and you could put them in dominant spaces. So this is a really useful resource. I'm going to actually copy and paste this and hop over here into the comments. Boom! It's now permanently in the comments right here, right now. You still don't see me. Hold on. Are people seeing me? Are folks now seeing me? It's Friday, right? Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, Andy. Cool. They need to refresh. We need to refresh, revigorate, rewild. It's going to be awesome. So we got to keep it moving. So yeah, I put that link there. The reason I say what I say in my book about this sort of thing is that it's like primarily it's everything likes ecto, like annuals and perennials, but then certain perennials prefer strictly ectomycorrhizae, and it's only certain ones. I mean, we're talking about spruce, willow, birch, beech, basswood, fir, hazelnut, hickory, hemlock, larch, linden, oak, pecan, pine, poplar. You know what I mean? It's all like trees. So it's like ecto, trees, and then endo, it's annuals and perennials, and some fruit trees. It's fruit trees. And then the nut trees are ecto. And so you quickly see all these different patterns. But then endo-ecto, you have even a smaller group: willow, poplar, eucalyptus, cottonwood, aspen, alder. And then brassicas do not like it. The Ericea family, blueberries, cranberries, do not like it. And then beets, carnation, mustards in the brassica family. Come on, fungi.com. You can do better than that. Mustard belongs over there. All right. Anyway, I posted that. That's a useful resource. As you see, everyone's got like little things that are different. And I mean, you guys know that things have changed, right? And this confuses people a lot. They're like, but wait, his classification is different than what I know. So seed to seed and the seed garden, these are actually, they classify things differently. Do you guys know this? This is like really fundamental. So amaranth has been changed. A bunch of things have been changed. But they classify plants and different plant families in a totally different new way. And that happened, between these two. And this is 2002, and this is like 2016 or something like that. 2015. So in the past, decade, things have fundamentally changed with how we look at plant families. So information is constantly changing, evolving, and a lot of it is that detailed minutia that you're like, is this going to help me? I don't know if this is going to help me. The stuff about heating and cooling, about the way elevation behaves, it might really help you. Everyone who travels up in elevation instantly knows this is all true. Actually, a question that's later, and I'll just jump to it now, it was about like, how exactly do the airwaves, condense? And it's actually not the airwaves condense. They speed up as they go up. An engineer talked to me about this specifically. It's the moisture that condenses as it cools. It condenses as it cools. Remember, moisture falls, but it's being pushed up, and it's condensing and speeding up. And so you have this fall, and then you have that rain shadow. So it is kind of an engineering specific thing when you're talking about like the fluid dynamics of air and how, you know, it compresses when it's a, but that's the thing, is it's like these diagrams don't really show online or anywhere that it's a whole mass. It's not this arrow, right? It's not this little arrow going across. That's the air. The arrow going across, then it goes up. No, it's actually this whole body from top to bottom. From the whole sky is moving. Like it's like an ocean of air is moving and then hits these mountains, and it goes. Whoa. And what do we see when water does that? We see waves, we see spirals, we see crashing, we see aeration, and we see dropping of that energy. And so we see landing the wave, explode, and that's what we're seeing in there. And you've seen that too, probably, right? As the air passes over the tops of those peaks, when you see that between the different horizons of air and you get that cloud layer, it ruffles as it goes over. This is what's going on. It's just big macro. I mean, I grew up staring at mountains, and maybe that it might be easier for me because I grew up ski racing. I see things in this macro pattern way. I don't remember street signs. I just remember the pattern of where I've been and where I'm driving and going. And so I've stared at mountains my whole life, stared at the way that the patterns in the sky are working, thinking, is it going to snow? Trying to predict that, you know. And the way that water and gravity and physics work on your body on a landscape. So I've always thought about the way pressures have always pulled you down on a hill where catchment is. And I've always followed and hiked in those areas too, and followed the water catchment up in those areas. So maybe that's part of why it was readily understandable to me. But I guess if I hadn't grown up with all that pattern literacy, it would be a lot harder if I was from, grew up in the city or something like that. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn. And that's the thing, is it's in our, our genetic understanding, our pattern literacy to understand all this. We're designed to be able to interact with nature. We are nature. So returning to those patterns and that pattern literacy and going and visiting those places, watching documentaries, maybe you're going to watch something on glaciers and the way glacier movement worked, or it doesn't really matter. You're going to be able to see with this lens that we've been talking about in all these documentaries, in all these places you can visit, on all these different sites. But primarily, you're going to want to know the sun path. You're going to want to know the flow of water. And you're going to want to be able to create a map that shows you the energies and forces on that property. And we're going to go over it all in detail. I'm just introducing these ideas so you're aware of them. And then when we do it, when we enter that information, when we build that connection, you will feel confident. You will feel comfortable. All right, next question. All right. I'm hoping to establish an orchard, and I've read that early, proper mycorrhizal relationships can dramatically increase successful plantings of seedling trees. That is absolutely correct. Again, I didn't save names when I did this, so I don't know who you are, but that's exactly correct. So everyone, if you're looking at that, you immediately see that the nut trees, the timber trees are the ecto, and then all the fruit trees are the endo, all the annuals, perennials are the endo. 97% of the population or 95% of like the population of plants, and then all right. So obviously you'd be able to just pick the right one and don't buy the one that's both, because that works for like that. And you notice that a lot of them are both if you go and buy them. Crazy, right? When you look at how many plants it actually serves. All right, cool. So biomass, yes, this is a great one. the biomass accumulates seasonally in the high latitudes each summer. So it's not high altitudes, it's latitudes. So in the cold temperate zones, it builds up and then it gets covered by snow and it decomposes at 32 degrees with the water cap, well, the frozen water cap, the snow on top, holding it in place so that you get the best decomposition, the most soil carbon sequestration, because the fungi element is so rich and heavy and it's so powerful. Our Brassica mycorrhizal fungi is acting so strong. And so that's what's going on in the north and the deep south. You know what I mean? The closer to the poles you go. And obviously, as you approach, the Arctic circles, lichen takes over, and then it's but in that cold temperate zone, that bandwidth of rich soil like growth and building, that's where it's ideal. It's just creates tons and tons of soil. But then in the tropics, the equatorial zones, you have tons of, it's growing constantly. It's this riot of growth, like you talk about. But then it doesn't turn into soil as much as it's just gets oxidized, or it gets quickly eaten by other animals and then quickly taken back in manure and then back into plant matter and back into so it's constantly, the equation down there is it's, unless you're in terra preta zones, right? It's shallow soils that are lacking in nutrients and minerals for the most part, because it's constantly having to deal with this constant evaporation. So it's holding everything in the plant matter, protecting those soils, creating those multiple canopies to hold that moisture in. So as it comes up, it's cycling constantly before it gets let out in the atmosphere, and then creating their own rain and all that. So that riot of growth, I say, yeah, belies the scant fertility in the soils. So yeah, it is as you say. When you clear a forest, it doesn't come back readily because the soil itself isn't as fertile as it would be in the cold temperate. So you have it right. You totally understand it. But I don't know. What other question that I would have to answer there? So I think you're completely right. I think that you understand it. I just got a little poetic, probably, in the riot of growth in the tropics. I am a writer. Gabrielle is such an amazing editor. She had to hold the reins back and kept saying I'm a poet and I got to be less poetic in my writing. Man, if you had read what I wrote in high school, you'd be like, man, flowery poetry. So yeah. All right. I would love to know more about pre-European history too. I studied Irish history at NYU, and it seemed to me that the people before writing was established in Europe had a completely different relationship with the land, and we've really lost that. And so, yeah, I would love to understand that too. Now, and maybe you're talking about America. I can't tell. But if you're talking about America, yeah, I would highly recommend 1491. I would highly recommend Guns, Germs, and Steel, though it's not as good as 1491. Some of it is kind of corrected maybe by 1491. There's some interplay between the two. Highly recommend those to you. Again, I'm going to add the names in so I can address people by their name, because I want to say something. I want to y'all it. I want to address you. So did we influence the number of chestnuts in the forest? We absolutely did. We started cutting things down. We started removing things. We removed the indigenous people that were tending these areas. So we absolutely changed these areas fundamentally. A book that I highly recommend is Aldo Leopold's Sand County Almanac. I have it right up here, actually. I'm just going to keep doing this where I'm just going to grab books and bring them down. Hey, let me hop over and check and make sure I'm still here. All right, good. So, yeah, the Sand County Almanac is really, really incredible. It actually talks about, what animals are doing in actual wild ecosystems and how they've changed since people have destroyed components of them. And it's kind of painful at times. Be prepared. If you read Sand County Almanac, he is lamenting the loss of his entire world, it feels like, and it was the 40s and 50s. So it's really brutal to be like, wait, this happened a long time ago. So it's someone who is a very early on a wildlife scientist, biologist, observer, and conservationist. And so his opinions are super strong. His insights are incredible. And it is pre-permaculture. Absolutely. I mean, it had to have inspired Bill and David. A Sand County Almanac also shows us that what this comment says about we don't know enough. How do we know that the chestnut blight was caused by the actual fungus or was something else? And how do we know that if we don't just use what we have now, we won't mess it up again? And yeah, because we don't know. And they want proof. They want real proof. But extinction is real permanent. And we have genetics and we've done incredible things. We've moved forward. But you're not going to be able to get the dodo bird back. I know we have these plans where we're going to clone, these animals supposedly and try to bring back the megafauna and all this stuff. But we don't have the megaflora to feed them. And, we don't have enough information. And no one does because there is no information. We're still uncovering, we're still learning, and there are huge gaps. And that's what, in Dark Emu, as I'm reading about the incredible systems of the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, perhaps the most advanced human beings on the planet by far. And they just had figured things out that don't even make sense. Like the fact that they could work with killer whales and dolphins. They were working with them so that the dolphins would literally, and the killer whales would bring fish. They would herd the fish in to the shallows, and then they would harvest them and share with the killer whales and dolphins right there and then. So obviously this took time, this took effort, and just it's just amazing. There's no parallel to it. So yeah, there's missing information. But that's why I've been so layer upon layer upon layer. Observation. We need to know the patterns. We need to observe. We need to reflect. We need to talk to everyone about it. We need to study all these different indigenous examples from the earliest samplings possible through the modern lenses too. So those earliest samples possible are pretty darn racist. And then the second earliest are really racist and just creepy and probably not fun to read too much of, judging by the quotes that we have in Dark Emu about how, it's just so sad how flawed that all went down. It's so sad. And that's the part of the thing is we're digesting huge amounts of information. We're digesting a history that is difficult to not have it hurt us somewhat. When you study indigenous peoples of North America and how incredible their cultures were, and now I'm studying Aboriginal cultures and they're so incredible that we've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of catching up to do. We got huge shoes to fill. But the fact is, they were filled by people. They're not superhuman. They were just like us. They had better habits. They had cultural consistency. And as the comments, right, the political stuff, cultural consistency sees beyond, all those kinds of things. It doesn't matter if we disagree with politics because everyone agrees on these ecological standards. And so that politics happens up here. And right now it's involved in all these other things like the environment. But if you just push past that, then you actually have access to appropriate political discourse because there's bumpers on both sides, right? And so that it doesn't fall into places where it can actually affect our consistency, our coherency with our natural responsibilities. And so these cultures really had that mapped out, and so they could have independent cultures in between, independent families, all these different things, but everyone got the basic idea of how to work with nature. So that's really where we need to head with all this, and that's why we got to just get beyond those breakers and out to sea and get really moving. Okay, and I hope that. Oh, so Chestnut Blight, Batterset is an incredible organization. I reference them in the Regenerative Career Guide. They have classes, they've done the genetic studies, and they know exactly what's going on. They've created new nut trees. They've been hybridizing and breeding selectively for decades. And it's amazing. And so, yeah, they've got American, Chinese, they've got all these neo-hybrids with multiple kinds of plants in them. Right here, if I go to, where are we? Yeah, Batterset, here we go. I'm going to copy this link and deliver it to you right now. So these are Chinese, American, European, Japanese, and Singguan chestnut species all mixed together. So these are not just mostly Chinese. This is just a crazy mix, so you get such a great value out of it. Such a hardy plant. So I'm going to pop this over there for those of you loud and clear. Yeah, I hope I'm loud and clear. Woo! I'm trying to give you guys the energy that you guys deserve. Try to be smart. Of the dodo won't come back. Robo-dodo will come. Oh dear. Is this set to private? Should be set to private. Let me see if I can set this to private. Oh, it's set to public is why. All right, I'm going to save the changes. Sorry about that, guys. It somehow got defaulted to public. But I can just remove people from the stream as well. So here we go to public. All right. Actually, I'm going to dive back right here. Forgive me, guys, while I do this really quickly. Yeah, so there's to public. Where is... Oh, comments are not supported on private videos. Let me... Oh, dear, guys. Let me quickly fix that. So I can't be private. It has to just be unlimited, unlisted. Unlisted. There we go. All right. So I think that should do it. It should just be unlimited, unlisted. All right. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. I think it's back to normal. Wow. Yeah, let me quickly delete this. Crazy. How do people get this crazy? Whew. Wow. Crazy what people get themselves into on here. Amazing how important it is to keep a classroom protected. Sorry about that, guys. permanently bookmarked. Heck yeah, I'm glad you guys bookmarked that. Actually, go through, if you can, and check out all those links. Sorry that I had to run through all those comments and remove people. Better displacement species for spruce currently being planted on the western edges of Europe. I would say always look to a polyculture. So don't think of individual trees. Think about polycultures. And then we're going to get into later on what I was leading to with all these answers to all these questions about individual plants is the permaculture plant database, which Daniel Halsey, one of our teachers, goes into. And then is there any other? I'm just looking one last time through the comments. All right. Sweet. I think it's all fixed. Oh, nope. His name is Shady Dude. Oh boy. How do these people? Yeah, well, I know why. Yeah, so anyway, people get attacked for doing good things online. It's just a sad truth and a sad part of the online world is that there are bots that are attack bots that pretend to be people that are, yeah, just a lot of stuff going on out there. So to get back to this, let's talk about that permaculture plant database, and then let's talk about carbon sequestration because people have some great questions about that. All right, so natural capital. I'm going to put that link right here. It's a very big phenomenon in Asia, keyboard warriors. Interesting, Andy. Yeah, I mean, the reality is I taught school with children from kindergarten through 12th grade for many years, and I've seen very young children on the internet doing things they shouldn't be doing, like looking at things on the internet, and it's really sad what people have access to, what people choose to do, choose to watch, all those kinds of things. But what I had to do, and this goes into a later question of how do you really reach people when they're so jaded and they're so far away, is you really have to see the potential in people and understand that people change. Is more carbon sequestered with endo or ecto mycorrhizae? That would go down to arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, which is hold on, I think it's right here in the next chapter, or the one after that, right here. It's a green picture right here. Yeah. Well, arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi entering a plant root. So that would be it not coating it, but does it go inside the actual cell? Yes. Because it penetrates the cell root's walls, it is an endo and makes the arbor-like structure, like giving it its name, arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. So yes, of course, it's an endomycorrhizal fungi. So I would say that endomycorrhizal fungi would be the winners, the champion of the carbon sequestration game, and ectomycorrhizal with a T in there, Mike. Thank you for joining us, Mike. It's great to see you. I would say that ectomycorrhizal fungi does not sequester as much carbon. If you think about those plants, they're not as fast pathways for carbon, and that's probably why they're slower moving and whatnot. Yeah, you're reading it too. Andy got it open. Sweet. And you guys, the ebooks really make it fast. You just type in a keyword and instantly you're there. So that's why the ebooks are in many ways superior to physical books. When you're doing research after you've read the book, you're going to find that, yeah, you'll pull out the physical book to reference, but that ebook is the boom, instant boom. You know what I mean? So continuing onward, boom. All right, next. All right, so sun angle. If you're measuring with a stick, yes, the other side needs to be perfectly flat, and that's why you need to attach levels to both to get it to be perfectly right. So that's, and then you have to line it up so that the shadow actually hits the stick, right? And so you need to think about all of that. It's much easier to just type in sun angle online and just get your answer there. Your slope and angle on your side is different from that. And you can actually probably align those and figure that out too. If you just look, well, you would do slope in similar ways, but kind of upside down, like the rise over the run. And so you would be able to take the slope, and then you'd be able to get the angle, and you'd be able to tell if they're perpendicular, and then you would be able to know a bunch of different things, how much that sun you're actually absorbing. So yeah, that's what I would do. All right, so proper plant spacing. This is something that we're going to get into later, because in nature, as you say, in nature, there's no like planting calendar or spacing. Sometimes trees are close together, sometimes they're far apart. But as you'll notice, areas where it overgrow and it gets super tight, it burns. Or something falls and then it causes knocks things over, and then creates a huge decomposition event and creates a glade, or there's things that happen. So there is a natural. Also, plants will steal from each other or share from each other depending on like the thresholds of things. So if you have it done right, they will have a harmonious relationship with the other trees around them. But if they're fighting for resources like not enough water, like you're in the middle of the desert, and their trees aren't spaced properly, it's going to be very difficult. So it's, like you say, creosote in southern New Mexico, the spacing on that is going to be proportionate to your environment. And then if we look at Jean-Martin Fortier and Curtis Stone's example with market gardening, they're able to take those planting recommendations and throw them out the window and then plant super close to each other and grow really well because their soil is so healthy. So your soil health throws it all out the window. You know what I mean? You could be having things super close together, super dense. If your soil health is, and then if your management allows you to have airflow, and then it's all in the design. So, and it's all, and it's all in the actual life that's there, and the soil and in the layout and landscape, and all of it plays a part. And that's why we have to go through things step by step. All right, perhaps you can elaborate on best